I've got some strong piece of advice for the majority of 90% of you out there. Stop training like the pros do. You're copying too many exercise workouts and plans and programs from the social media influencers out there or the top elite pro bodybuilders. You're not a pro, you're not an elite bodybuilder, you're not on performance enhancing drugs. Why do I bring this up? When I'm in the gym, I see a lot of, especially younger guys, doing splits or doing certain exercises that have really been coined and popularized by very sessioned and seasoned bodybuilders. Very fine-tuned exercises such as the single armed lat pull down on the cable machine or a cable tricep pull down just singly. And they are great exercises. I'm not saying they're not. Great isolated exercises, great unilateral exercises. And I'm not saying not to do them. But the majority of guys I see out there, it's just that's the only thing they do. They hug around a cable machine for 30-40 minutes, and for the triceps, back, that's it. These are kind of fine-tuner, polished exercises that the pros started coming up with that have actually only really been popularized in the last couple of years on Instagram and stuff like places like that. And it was these bodybuilders that popularized these because these are guys that have been so developed overly everywhere in their body that they're trying to put on a small amount of tissue on a lagging body part, say the lower lat, and they're taking these exercises to really try to polish and fine-tune and encourage that small sort of angled resistance profile in such a degree to utilize or highlight that part of the body. You're not a pro bodybuilder, and it's a waste of your time training that way. When you're underdeveloped, you can get away with very small amount of work. If you were to just take an approach which would be a lot more time efficient and you get a lot more bang for your buck, instead of doing the single arm, do just 3 or 2 heavy hard sets of a lat pull down and a barbell row. For triceps, a good heavy volumized set of a push down and a dip. That would be sufficient enough. Now, if you really wanted to feel good and get a pump, sure. But the fact of the matter is, you don't need to follow these kind of exercises that the pros are doing. The same goes for exercise splits. Pros that do chest days and back days and leg days, that's good for them that they're already highly developed and they need that extra work in them body parts. You don't. You to grow muscle, it takes very low amount of volume, very low amount of stimulus, and very low amount of sets. You do not need to do splits. Full body, upper lower, things like that there that you can cover the whole body in only a couple sets each is a lot more efficient for your time. Now, of course, if you enjoy training that way, train that way. I'm not saying not to. It's the same thing with nutrition. You don't need to eat like some of the guys in the 80s and 90s did when they were eating 20 egg whites and 10 eggs. Sure, eggs are a great source, but it's overkill. You do not need to consume that kind of food. Again, you're not a pro. You don't have the genetics of a pro that they just cough and a pound of muscle goes on. These are guys that are not just on performance enhancing drugs and are not just ridiculously robotic in their everyday routines for decades. These are guys that also are just ridiculously genetically gifted. When they're age of 15 or 16, they look like a top-end natural bodybuilder in their 20s. These are guys that just naturally were like that. We have to sort of be comparative with our makeup and our genetics and notice that our lives can be very different to those in social media or influencers. It kind of matters who we copy and gain inspiration from. The majority of you are not pros. I'm not a pro either, but you need to be realistic on what can be achievable. Take inspiration, learn where you take the inspiration from, take certain aspects of people you see online and try to implement them, but just know that you cannot be expected to train like pros, you don't have to train like pros, and you're not a pro. Maybe yet anyway. Anyway, I'm Carl from the Ox Den. If you liked the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and until the next one, I'll catch you then.